Good morning again, and welcome to daryllorette Cafe. I'm your host, daryllorette. Right now it's a balmy 26 degrees outside. Time is 11:05 a.m. And, well, what have I done so far today? Well, I just had my lunch. The usual. I had the usual, you might say. I just finished updating all my blogs. I still have to visit some other websites and whatnot. I must say the heat is really, this has got to be, I just read an article. I didn't read the entire article, but there was a headline I came across that said that there was a couple. There was one that said last month, June, was the hottest month, the hottest June that we have ever had, the recorded month of June. And apparently another article headline that I read said that this has been the hottest recorded year to date. And so that's pretty scary, really. I mean, here in Ontario, I mean, it's a lot. I grew up in the Maritimes. I spent the first 20 years of my life in the Maritimes, Halifax, Nova Scotia. And compared to Ontario, Halifax was never really that hot. But up here we have to deal with, there's a lot of pollution. I mean, back east, the only thing polluted back east was the Halifax Harbor. I mean, we went fishing there when we were kids, and that was about it. You know, you didn't eat the fish, but, you know, you fed them to the seagulls. But here in Ontario, you have pollution that affects the weather and the heat and the humidity and whatnot, and it's a whole different ball game, and it makes for a much more dangerous atmosphere for people with respiratory problems like asthma and older folks and whatnot. So, you know, I've always wondered, you know, why people who live on welfare and whatnot, why they have air conditionings hanging out their window. Well, I know why. I still don't know how they can afford to hang an air conditioning unit out their window. I've been living here for a decade, and I've yet to buy myself a fan to put in one of my rooms just to circulate the air, never mind an air conditioning unit. And this building where I live, I know for a fact from previous notices that I've gotten that if you do have an air conditioner, that they charge you extra on your rent because you know, those things burn a lot of electricity. So you know, I think being around a lot of fresh water here in Ontario, you got all the Great Lakes, which are literally giant bodies of fresh water, and people, I think, are congregated around those lakes because they're freshwater lakes, even though you really can't directly drink out of the lake. Unlike, say, the Vancouver Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean, and Halifax in the east and the west, you got the oceans. You can't really drink salt water, and so, but still, you have quite a population in Vancouver, but there's not a lot of people in the Maritimes. Well, there's a lot of people, but not like here in Ontario and out west. I mean, it's a whole nother ball game. I've lived in Vancouver back in the mid '80s, and you know, I've been living here off and on since also since the mid '80s. So you know, it's a challenge just to stay cool here in this, especially July and August are usually the hot months, no matter where you live in Canada. Those are the months you have to really stay cool and watch it, especially here in Ontario, because you get a lot of those you get a lot of heat alerts, and they literally tell you to stay indoors. For a couple of years, actually for about 3 years, I've just got back into a normal routine. But for about 3 years, I literally, because of the hot weather and whatnot, and I got sick of kind of literally sweating on top of my computer. So since it's usually cooler at nights and hotter in the days, for about 3 years, I slept in the days and I worked at night, on my computer, because I do make a small little income with my computer. So I did that for about 3 years, but I've gotten a little sick of staying up all night and sleeping all day, because in the day there's things you can do in the daytime, the things that I want to do now in the daytime that I couldn't do at nighttime. So now it's a question of turning things around again and going back to sleeping at nights. Just recently I started sleeping at nights again, and doing things that I want to do in the daytime. Like, I can't really work out at night. There's no gyms or clubs open at night, so you gotta do that sort of stuff in the daytime. And if you want to go to school, if you want to study anything, it's kind of hard to do it at night. So it's best to do stuff like that in the daytime. I want to take acting classes and workshops and stuff like that, so I've got to do that in the daytime. Last year I took an intensive improv class at the Second City Training Center in Toronto. It was 5 days straight. It was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, from like 10 o'clock in the morning until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I had been staying up all night, working, all night on the computer, and hopped the bus to Toronto, got up there, had a Subway sandwich, and was at the Second City Training Center for 10 o'clock in the morning. And by the time I was finished at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I would go home and go to bed. So it was a pretty rough day, just for a week. But it was a challenge too. And I wanted to get used to, because I do got to go to Toronto, not a lot, but sometimes in the past I've had to go to Toronto a lot to go on a lot of auditions. Back in 2005, I used to have to go to 4 or 5 auditions a month, and sometimes I would go on 3 auditions in a week. In the course of 48 hours, I remember on occasion that I went on 3 auditions in less than 48 hours. So there was a lot of traveling back and forth to Toronto from Hamilton. So I don't know if I'll be doing any of that in the near future. I might be. I have some plans to maybe take some acting classes or whatnot. Mime. I'm thinking about taking mime lessons or some more acting classes at Equity Showcase Theatre up in Toronto, and also maybe taking in some ACTRA workshops. They have annual get-togethers, I think twice a year. ACTRA, the trade union I belong to for actors here in Ontario and Canada. I'm hoping that now that I have a working fax machine, I can fax my application, or the classes I want to take. I can fax those up there. If I don't have to actually register personally, I can just fax that information up there to the office, and hopefully attend some of these yearly get-togethers that they have. So anyway, we're coming up to 9.5 minutes, and we're running out of time here. So we're going to call this a broadcast. I'm DarylLorette, your host, for another edition of Daryl Lorette Cafe. We'll see you later this afternoon. Bye for now.